I was called into a meeting up in Santa Rosa with a particularly nice gentleman from their city operation, Eric McHenry, last week, and the subject matter there was the contractual process that they're about to engage in with Verizon with regard to the installation of small cell towers on every block, which is something we fought very diligently for 5 months with regard to Senate Bill 649. I have tendered to you, through your city attorney, who I hope will read it carefully, a letter which was submitted to the Appropriations Committee on July 19th, which gives a comprehensive review of several factors that you as a city council should be aware of, one of which is the extent to which, under the provisions of Government Code Section 835, if memory serves, the joinder of these Verizon small cells to your public utility poles, those that you have an ownership interest in at least, will create a dangerous condition of public property, because it is now far beyond controversy that the reality is that glioblastoma and other significant DNA damage phenomena result from exposure to cellular radiation. You know, a lot of us may have thought at some time that it was a fringe issue. That was the science, however, such as the findings of the National Institutes of Health's National Toxicology Program, as announced on May 22nd, 2016, is unequivocally established, as did the work of Dr. Henry Lai. You could see that excellent article in Seattle Magazine, Dr. Henry Lai, LAI, that DNA strand breakage is definitely occurring as a result of exposure to these radiation forms. When the small cell system is expanded as is intended to take the place of cable, you're going to have established what amounts essentially to an EMF microwave crossfire, because every resident of every densely populated building or system is going to be exposed to the radiation from every other building. It's a very serious matter. So I know you're going to be facing it soon. I was asked to come up here and speak on it, and I've just done that. Your city attorney has a very comprehensive review of this. I hope you'll have a chance to take a look at it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
I don't know if you can see that very well, but that's the map of Petaluma, and those are 15 locations where Verizon has interest in putting small cell, full power cell phone towers literally 15 to 50 feet from people's homes. That's entirely too close to people's homes. It violates federal laws. You'll hear that in my letter. You have all received 7 letters. We're putting that into the public record tonight to show you which laws are being violated by this plan. We know that Santa Rosa is going through something very similar, and if I know how to use PowerPoint, I'd like to go to the next slide, hopefully. There we go. This is what just recently went into an article on January 12th in Santa Rosa. This is literally 25 feet from this woman's bedroom. That's 24/7, 365 electromagnetic radiation, very powerful levels. There's 3 antennas on that pole. There's a refrigerator-sized power supply on the sidewalk. That's a lot of power, a lot more power than they need, because people aren't paying attention to the specs. We'll see that this photographer for the Press Democrat did a great job of showing the perspective of what these things mean in a residential neighborhood. They dominate the residential neighborhood. They injure the people. This cannot be allowed in Petaluma, and we can actually do something about it by changing our municipal code in order to protect the residents of Petaluma. This is what the opinion was one day after this article. This is what they're saying in Santa Rosa, and believe me, when we spoke to Mr. McHenry on Tuesday, 2 hours before, 8 people from Verizon were sitting at the table. Oh, we got to fix it. We got to fix it. What are we going to do? Oh, the answer is you don't need to do this at all. Santa Rosa signed away for $300 a pole, whether it's on their light poles or utility poles, some right in the right of way to go here. Harry and I and others went to Sacramento for 6 months full time to fight SB 649. And we got a conversion of votes, and we secured a veto at the end to make sure that our cities had the very rights they needed in order to write the local ordinances to keep these things out of residential neighborhoods. You have the dual regulatory authority to do that today. They are handing you, Verizon and AT&T, a load of crap, lies, excuse my language, about what the law says. The law says specifically authority is preempted for 3 things: placement, construction, and modification only. Interestingly, the word operations isn't on the list because the word operations was on the list in fall of 1995. It was removed in what was passed in February of 1996 because there's a lot of congressional record showing congressional intent to make sure that the operations of these cell phone towers are under the dual regulatory authority of the cities. And we fought SB 649 to make sure that you could use the 1996 TCA to protect our residents, and you don't have to follow any of those preemption clauses in order to do it. Didn't do the letter at all, but I got the important points across. Thank you.
Submit the letter.
I
With
will.
that,
Thank you.
On to City Council comment. Vice Mayor Healy.
Thank you. So I was reminded by some of our public comment speakers tonight that Councilmember Miller and I were participating in a rally on the north steps of the state capitol last September in opposition to SB 649. 649 crosses the line. And several hundred city officials out there yelling. It was good fun. But I was, and the governor did veto that measure, and we're expecting something to come back, but we don't know what. There are negotiations between the utilities and the league at this point and other interested parties. I gathered from the speakers that the city of Santa Rosa has some deal with some kind of a contractual arrangement that obligates them to put these in place. Do we have anything like that?
We do not, and we have heard that, and I don't have anything systematic about this. John may have more information, but that some service providers and some localities are taking advantage of the veto to enter into negotiated arrangements to address the placement of the towers, sort of on a local franchise type basis for revenue purposes.
As I think we heard tonight, there's a great amount of local interest in that. So,
yes.
Thank you. On SB 649, I was also very involved in the letter writing campaign against that bill, and I totally concur with the Vice Mayor and Councilmember Miller that we want to make sure that that does not happen in Petaluma. And if there are poles that we don't own as a city, I think we really need to make sure that they don't get picked off individually and get sold. That we have to have some kind of ruling that or ordinance that doesn't allow people to make a private decision on their own. I don't know if all the who owns all these poles around town. It's always surprising who owns these things.
Councilmember Barrett, could I ask a question real quick? So, if say an AT&T or Verizon wanted to put in one of those boxes, they'd still have to come to us, even if PG&E owned the pole, which is the case in some of the poles in town, right? On the light poles. Well, so they'd still have to come to us and get permission to get an easement on the sidewalk for that huge box, would they not?
Yes.
Okay.
There are places where they already have them.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, there are places where there already are easements that may not be being used right now. So I just want to make sure that we're not getting sabotaged or picked off, unknowingly. We want to be in front of this.